Well, good afternoon. It's great to be back at the Port of Tampa. I want to appreciate some of the business leaders that we have here with us today. Bob Rohrlach, President and CEO, Tampa Chamber. Raul Alfonso, Chief Commercial Officer for the Port. Thank you for your hospitality. Zach Feinstein, owner of the Black Pearl over in Pinellas. And you have other restaurants, too.
Yeah, the Living Room and Saunders Social Club as well.
There you go. Ben Walker, President and CEO, Byers Point. Thanks for being here, Ben. We got Sean Caniglio, Managing Partner of HCP, and David Bevert, Senior Vice President, Leasing, Brookfield Property Partner. So thank you guys for being here today. As we've seen over the last many months, we've seen major changes in the economy. Of course, nationwide, we've lost an unprecedented number of jobs. It's been a priority of mine here in the state of Florida to mitigate and to rebuild as best as we can. And I'm happy to say, as tough as it's been, we have added jobs these last few months, even in July, where we had the apex of the COVID epidemic here in the state of Florida. We were able to add about 75,000 private sector jobs. Of course, our state, being a state that has a lot of leisure and hospitality, that saw by far the most job losses. I was fortunate enough to be at Universal Studios in Orlando yesterday with our theme park leaders, and they're back, they're operating. They have folks that are coming, not at the same levels as they did before the pandemic, but we think we'll get there, and we think that's an important part of the state. But also small businesses, individual employees, seeing how many people have been hired back, what we need to do to get more people back. I'm glad that as we sit here today in the state of Florida, the picture with COVID-19 is much more positive than what we were dealing with at the end of June and the beginning of July, and particularly. We are seeing fewer number of cases, lower rate of positivity. But the way I look at it is when we went into this as a country and we're told that we needed to flatten the curve, the reason why you do that is to be able to ensure you had enough hospital capacity, treatments, PPE to be able to handle the epidemic. And I think that in the state of Florida, clearly we were able to do that, not only with PPE, not only with drugs like remdesivir. We also help with convalescent plasma. We've done a lot to support with personnel as nursing staffs in particular were overworked. We were able to supplement some key spots around the state, but also having our COVID-only nursing facilities, which was primarily to be able to offer a safe place of isolation for a nursing home or long-term care resident, but also help with hospital capacity because you had a safe place they could be discharged, given that Florida prohibits discharging a COVID-positive nursing home resident back to a nursing home from a hospital. So if you look at where we're at now, we see really significant declines in the number of COVID-positive patients who are hospitalized, both in the general population as well as in ICU. So we're down over 50% from our July peak in COVID-positive patients who were hospitalized. ICU is down around 45% from the July peak. And if you look at certain parts of the state that had epidemics, Dade County is down 58% COVID-positive hospitalizations since the peak. Broward down 55%. Palm Beach down 61%. Orange, where I was yesterday, is down 64%. Here in the Tampa Bay area, Hillsborough is down 63% for COVID-positive hospitalizations. Pinellas is down 71%. Pasco is down 65%. And Manatee is down 79%. So those are good trends, and I think that those are trends that are durable, at least for the near future, given that we've seen a big decline in the number of people going to emergency departments for COVID-like illnesses. That had peaked July 7th in the state of Florida. It's steadily gone down ever since, and we're now at levels where we were at the beginning of June when we had relatively low prevalence in the state. And so those are good trends. We obviously want those to continue. Those trends occurred even as the state continued to function. Not only do we have businesses operating, we have all the theme parks were operating, we have hotels, we did have people visit, not as much as we would have had under normal circumstances, but I think that the approach of one, protecting the vulnerable, which we've done, two, supporting our hospitals, making sure they have what they need, but then three, keeping society functioning is an approach that served us well, and we're going to continue to do that. And here, I think, is an example of folks who have been able to adapt to the circumstances that we see, whether it's in the restaurant industry, whether it's supplies, whether it's all these things, and then really, I think, provides us a good way forward. Now, there have been some things specifically for businesses that have recently come out. When we started the epidemic, CDC and the state, based on their guidance, was recommending that, for example, if you had a restaurant and you had an employee who had COVID, that they needed a negative test to be able to return to the workforce. CDC has since changed that guidance and said follow symptoms-based approach. So if they've cleared symptoms for a certain number of days, then they're going to be eligible to come back. And I think the reason is what we found with these PCR tests is you can test positive for weeks and weeks. Long after you've been infected, it can pick up dead virus particles, and so doing a symptoms-based approach is a more targeted approach. It makes more sense. That allows folks, because we've had some people isolate for 14 days and they test positive on day 14, positive on day 18, positive on day 25, even though they are no longer infectious and don't represent any type of risk for anybody in the workforce. I think part of what we've seen with more remote working is something that is going to be with us in some form or another in terms of how businesses operate. We're going to discuss that here today. Also, the status of the businesses that had to let employees go. Where are they now? How many have they hired back? What else do we need to do to get more people back to work? And then just the general business climate here in the Tampa Bay region. I think that if we were here at the end of February, we would be all very happy about the economic engine of the Tampa Bay area, and I think that there was a lot of great stuff on the horizon. I still think there is, but this obviously has been a challenge for everyone, but I think that the region has responded very well, and I think is primed to help lead Florida's comeback. So we'll send it around, let everyone say a few things. So Raul, as a host, you want to make some comments?
Thank you, Mr. Governor. It's great to be here. Our port has continued to work. Our families have been safe. We are continuing to move cargo for our community, from fuel, aggregates, to building and construction industry. Yes, we lost the cruise like other ports, and we missed that, but we have been resilient. We have had to be better, and our team has come closer with our partners because we're not there, we're not face to face. We are following your guidance, we have in place plans where we continue to work. We have 50% of our employees coming in on off days, and we're doing everything. And you're right, the outlook is very favorable. We had a support our best year ever in 2019. We were looking forward to 2020. And now we are looking forward to 2021 with our partners, with all of us, and with your guidance. And this governor and his support for our port has been tremendous, and we're looking forward to the future. Thank you. Great to be here.
Bob?
Thank you for being here, Governor. We appreciate your interest in everything you're doing for the state and for Tampa Bay. At the Tampa Bay Chamber, we have focused on how we address each member and what their needs are. We have been spending all of our time since the working from home policies have started, reaching out to every member. We have 1,400 members. Our retention rate is higher than it was this time last year because we shifted to being virtual chamber and meeting their needs, whether it's connecting business to business or making sure they know what resources are available from you in your office. We've connected many of your resources on our site, so it's easy for members to find it, and just making sure we're addressing those needs as they're looking for what they need to do, whether it's shifting from what they were doing before COVID-19 to what they need to be adjusting to now, and just how they can continue to function. We believe that the #1 social program ever invented was a job, and our focus is how do we make sure that jobs are out there, jobs are being provided, and we can get people back to work as quickly as we can. And we're mirroring a lot of the practices you're doing as we implement them at the local level. Our members are telling us that they're looking for ways they can start to hybrid get back to work. We're starting to look at our events the same way. How do we have a small group present, but do a lot of it online, and just keep stepping out safely, but making sure we're being aggressive and moving forward to strengthen the economy. Same way we did with the recession is what do we need to do to get through this issue, and just keep pressing and looking for the solutions that can get there. We're seeing attitudes of the businesses are positive, that they know this is something we need to be dealing with, but we want to do what we can do to keep functioning, keep supporting each other, keep business going, meeting the needs of customers, as well as making sure employees are being taken care of. We've got a lot of resources. We've been doing webinars on how do you plan to bounce back from something like this? What should a business be thinking about today to put them in the best position for tomorrow? It's something that we're getting feedback from our members that this is what the information they need, and the resources easily to get to help them through all the programs coming through the state have been very helpful. So thank you for what you're doing.
Great. Ben, can you talk about your company and then how you kind of got into the PPE as that became something that was in demand when the pandemic really hit hard in the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben Walker with Buyers Point. So we've been in business about 10 years now. We are actually an AV supplier by core business. And when this all happened in January, we saw quite a bit of shortage in PPE. So we have a lot of international networks already in place. And so we quickly pivoted to PPE to basically meet that demand. Because of that, we were able to quickly get in PPE into the country and support the state, support quite a few of the school districts, hospice centers, and then also our community. And so that's basically what we did to answer the call. Our goal right now is through our website, our subsidiary website, tampabaymask.com, is to ensure that our community stays safe. We understand, like the governor said, that we have to keep pushing forward. And so how do we balance that? How do we balance, make sure the economy keeps going forward, but also keeping our workplaces safe? And we do that by providing supplies that our community needs at a very reasonable price without taking advantage of people.
Great. Zach, talk about kind of how your businesses were going, like January, February, beginning of March, and then when the crisis really hit, and then what you've done since then, with the reopening, and then any other challenges going forward.
Sure, yeah, we were slated to have our best year ever in 2020. We had 4 locations at the beginning of the year. Now we have 3. Should tell you a little bit about how the beginning of the year went for us. So in March, the peak of our season is about March 15th, and we closed down on March 16th. Immediately we laid off all 125 employees we have. Obviously, through the countrywide and state shutdowns, when we reopened, we were able to secure some PPP financing, so we were able to bring back, almost 100% of our staff. And now we're seeing that, business is really following the infection rate and what's happening on the daily basis. And over the last few weeks, as we've come back down, we've seen business start to increase again. We've definitely had to reinvent our business model. Obviously, our locations, we have a high-end craft cocktail bar. It was actually just voted the best bar in Tampa Bay, which is neat. But that's been the biggest challenge for us. We have a kitchen there, but I do know that, brewery owners and bar owners all over the Bay are excited to be able to get back open and start serving the public again. But yeah, we've really taken a step above for all the PDP and the staff, and getting our cooks used to wearing masks in a 110-degree kitchen. It's been a big struggle as far as educating our customers that we're doing the right things and making sure they know we're a safe place to eat. And not only that, but just the town that we're in, which is Dunedin, is a safe. We're a big walking town, so we're starting to see that come back a little bit, which is nice for sure.
Great. All right, Sean, can you talk about what you guys have been doing?
Sure, yeah. Our firm is a marketing consulting and research firm. There's a large network of clients in different industries. A big part of their business is to network and communicate with other companies within trade shows. And so we saw a really big impact on that when everything ceased, where people couldn't get together and connect with customers and prospective customers. So we had to pivot pretty quick and help them communicate using digital, as well as sending our teams home to work virtually and use technology that's available to us to be able to connect with ourselves, to be able to then continue to support our customers. But in the process, that impacted us for the first 60 days. But through some contracts that we have in different organizations, we were able to do some market research and work on some studies that we originally hadn't anticipated. So while in March and April things looked very, very bleak getting into the summer where we were going to lose a certain percentage of our business, we were able to kind of pivot and work on some other projects that were really helpful to kind of keep us status quo. And so we're at a similar capacity as we were in prior years. So for that, we're very grateful and thankful. But as we look forward, we're hoping that things resume to normal as we start to prepare for next year with our clients.
David, can you talk about what you guys are doing,
Sure.
some of your major projects?
Sure. Dave Baveur with Strategic Property Partners. So we're one of the largest mixed-use developments that is now under construction in the U.S., about 9 million square feet over roughly a 10-year build. The good news with a large development development is that we're not, as a result of COVID, that we're on schedule. So we've had really no slowdowns in the way of our development schedule. We're delivering our hotels, our office buildings, our apartments, our retail on time. So we're very encouraged by the fact that there was no, very little in the way of supply chain issues and really no impact whatsoever to construction. As you can see, all the cranes not far from here at the port. We look at this as, with COVID, as, out of adversity comes opportunity for Tampa Bay. And we're all about the growth with the help of our chamber, our EDC. We're all about the growth of Tampa Bay, Tampa, and of course, bringing, tenants, occupants, residents, retailers, all to Water Street, Tampa. And what we're seeing is now this is an opportunity. There's a great narrative around Florida and Tampa Bay as an opportunity for, what I call in-migration for companies that are up in the Northeast in more dense cities to bring those companies, corporations, families down here. The growth of Florida right now, we see the numbers that roughly, the move-in roughly over 100 per day, and I think for Florida just under 1,000 per day. So that growth, in our opinion, will continue somewhat unabated here into the not-too-distant future. So we're very encouraged by that, Governor.
Yeah, we've had, really, really strong purchase of new homes. A lot of the builders in the state of Florida have done very, very well over this period, and I think that that's going to continue. We also were very supportive of keeping projects going. There were some parts of the country, they just shut everything down. That would have been disastrous. We kept it going the whole time, and we even used, when there were less traffic on the roads, we had our DOT expediting things like the Howard Franklin project. We did one of the big I-4 interchanges, and we're able to expedite those by many months. And those were important projects, and so we really wanted to keep all that going. I think it's important for the economy. What's the sense in terms of the remote work going forward? Do you see it where people have they lost a lot without having face-to-face? That'd probably be dependent on industry. I've talked to some folks who have some pretty big companies and say they've gone 90+% remote and haven't missed a beat. And then there's other industries. You obviously can't do remote food service, and there's others that you need the folks there. But from a typical kind of downtown business presence perspective, do you think that that's going to change going forward?
We've been surveying our members ongoing about what are you thinking, what are you looking at for the future, and at first it was staying home. Some of the bigger companies are saying they'll be staying home till probably turn of the year, but they've been able to work remotely and continue to have their employees working remotely. Smaller businesses are now looking more the hybrid. How can they have different shifts come in, if not everybody come in if it works and they can space out properly. So we're seeing a lot of different views as everybody's trying to adjust to what works right for their business, but the way they can continue to be productive with what they're doing. We have shifts at the chamber for team coming in, so we've been able to keep functioning and support our members that way. But it really, as you said, depends on the industry and how they can best function.
Yeah. What do you got? What do you think?
For us, I think we're thinking about the schools. Now, return to schools, what's going to happen? We're going to get some feedback on that. We are ready to come back. I think it's a feeling that as an organization, we have been prepared. We're ready to come back. And we're thinking about the next few months, how we're going to go from this September right to the end of the year. And our essential people, which is what we call operations, maintenance, security, engineering, they've been on board, working day in, day out, keeping our operations moving. For us, we can function, but it's the personal part of the humanity that I haven't seen my friend here for 6 months, and it was a great feeling to see him again today. So we are doing a lot of more Zooming, we're doing a lot of more technological evolution per se. We have had to duplicate the assets that we have. If you have an office here, now you have to have it at home. So our IT department has been extending on that to make sure that we continue to function. It's a new norm, and I think we all agree that that's what we're going to see as we move forward.
How about, yeah, Strategic Property Partners, we're a small company of only 70 employees, and we're working remotely. What we're seeing with other companies as well is I think now until the end of the year, it's really establishing what I call business continuity to really focus on your business and your employees. As we get beyond then, once we get to a vaccine and we start to see the economy then improve, then I think you'll start to see companies reevaluate what those protocols are relative to what percentage want to work from home and what percentage want to come into the office. And so I think it's too early to tell.
Does the availability of schools affect how parents want to do? I mean, if the schools aren't offering in person, then they kind of have to work remotely at that point, right? Even if they would want to come in? A lot of them.
I've spoken with colleagues who have young children, and it's challenging, right? You're home with these kids, and plus maybe both parents work, so it presents those challenges that a lot of families have to deal with right now. So, into the future, hopefully once we get to that cure and the kids are back at school, it starts to provide that ease for those families so they can kind of get back to normal.
Zach, you mentioned you have kind of like a bar thing. So how is that working? Are you doing the food?
Yeah, so we've always had food there. So we had you have to have a 509 FS license, a food service license. So we were able to remain open. But yeah, that's what we're seeing in our town, our brewery owners, and in Dunedin we have about, I think it's 7 or 8 breweries, and all of them have applied for food licenses, and it's just like a hot dog roller, so just to be able to be open. But I think those that are able, not able to do that, they're just really waiting for. I know several bar owners are just waiting to open up, and we've been fortunate in that light. I do think though, however, because all statewide bars are closed that don't have this license, we've had some issues with traffic and getting people in the door of Sonder. Even though like I said, we just won this cocktail, which usually would be a great thing for business and really hasn't done much for us. So looking forward to that portion of the reopening plan, and I know a lot of people are as well. So, and for those that aren't as fortunate, I know they're just waiting. So.
Good. Yeah, well, we're definitely looking at that. Can you talk about, I know the chamber, is work with you. I know they have some programs. So can you talk about, how that worked out, and then what are your prospects now? It seems like you're doing well, and you've really responded well with the pandemic.
Yeah, so first I want to give Bob and the chamber thanks. They have been incredible. I was very hesitant to join the program because I think, as we all know as business owners, sometimes things maybe don't maybe they waste your time a little bit. And so it was good to see the chamber program was incredible. One of the biggest things they've helped out with is basically opportunities and just open the door and introductions. And so it's our job to make sure that we execute and perform the tasks we need to perform. But they've been great at saying, okay, who's the person you want to get in front of? We'll make sure you get in front of that person. And because of that, we've forged incredible partnerships right now to actually provide our supplies to, and we've pivoted very well because of it. For us internally, staying safe, it's what the reality is of the virus, but also mentality as far as the appearance of staying safe. And so what we've done is everyone that comes to the door, temperature checks, hand sanitization, put masks on, and as soon as you walk through the door, and that gives that basically the mentality of you're also staying safe, and that helps our employees feel safe in the workplace. And then we also do the social distancing. We've been fortunate that we're an essential business, so we never closed down, but we have gotten very busy. So I was telling you earlier, when we came into this, we were at 3 employees. We were very nervous. Quite frankly, we thought that we might have to actually close the doors. We're impacted so badly by the virus. So since we're 100% online, our business exploded since then, and we're actually now at 9 employees. And we made sure that we were very strategic in those hires. We made sure we hired people that were laid off, maybe some college kids that needed some money to go before they went back to school. And so we were just trying to make sure that we can do everything we can to support our local community.
Great. Zach, the restaurants have been operating under reduced capacity.
Yeah.
So how has that affected? I mean, I think the theory is that, you know, there's more space and then kind of less transmission. But I know that the industry is not an easy industry to succeed in no matter what. And obviously, you know, you're not going to be packed every single hour of every single day if you didn't have that restriction. But obviously probably makes it a little bit more challenging. So how have you handled it? And then would it be better to, instead of having an arbitrary 50, maybe do something that would be a little more flexible where you would still keep the guests safe?
So I think for us, you know, obviously our largest location, which is called the Living Room, it's in downtown Dunedin. You know, we just rented a pod and moved half of the furniture out of the restaurant, basically. So, you know, on weekdays, and it's not like business has been booming, so during weekdays and so on and so forth, we don't really have an issue. On weekends, however, we do get busy Friday, Saturday night, you know, and there's that huge capacity issue where, you know, essentially doing half of what we would be doing. You know, so in order to kind of deal with that there, we're really trying to optimize other times during the day for our guests, offering, you know, some type of special or whatever, keep people in the door when we're not as busy. At our fine dining location, it's just a little 40-seat, you know, fine dining restaurant called the Black Pearl. It's fairly well known in the area. And we've just really had to get careful with reservations. It's 100% reservation based, so we've been able to kind of control the influx of customers as, you know, over the course of the evening, over the week. And actually, that's one of our locations. We're actually up over last year this past month, so that was interesting. But the reservation piece has really helped us there. I definitely think, you know, if we're able to expand safely and, you know, make sure that we're, you know, the customers are just as safe as they are now, and be able to get some more occupancy, it definitely would help, I think, everyone in the industry for sure. So, you know, I don't see the difference of, you know, walk around Walmart or eating at, you know, I think it's the same thing. So, if we're able to do it safely for our customers, I think definitely, you know, there'd be thousands of, mom and pop restaurateurs around the state that'd be grateful for that for sure.
Cruise ships, what's the prognosis on that?
We're all waiting for confirmation from them. I think the industry is waiting. They are monitoring what's happening in Europe. They started sailing 2 weeks ago in Norway. They have started last week in Italy. And it's going to be a learning experience from there. We have read and we continue in close communications with Carnival, Royal Caribbean, NCL, the big three. And it's the focus perhaps, what they want to see, it's a drive-to market approach with maybe 50-60% capacity, and we are a good port for that. We're hoping that it starts in the winter, maybe the spring, but there is no definite dates at this time, so we're all waiting and hoping.
And what's the, under normal times, like what level of traffic would be coming out of Tampa?
Tampa, we are the 4th largest cruise port. In 2019, we did 1.1 million cruise passengers. We had projected 1.5 million for 2020. So we're not like Miami, Everglades, or Canaveral. They are in the 3 million each, but it's a decent approach. Cruise for us is an important part. It's about 22% of our business. So we're hoping for a return, and the sooner the better.
Great. Sean, what are you just looking forward? I know you got a lot of different clients.
Yep.
You know, what do you think is important, you know, as we go forward, you know, to build, you know, some more economic momentum?
Yeah, you know, most clients right now that we're talking to are kind of planning for first quarter of 2021, right? So what's going to happen over the next few months, and how is that going to impact their business, and what changes are they going to make in the new year? It varies, you know, the gamut from, you know, HR operations and sales and marketing, things that they have to get done. And the big thing is hopeful that things open up and they get back to normal. A lot of them support various associations and organizations that bring together people within their industry or their space, and they want to get back together. You know, and they want to connect in person, similar to what Raul was saying about the human touch, to be able to connect with people in person. You know, the virtual is great, but there's nothing like relationships that you can build when you can meet with somebody and get to know them and get to know what they're about and what their business is about. So we're looking forward to being able to do more of that as we get closer to the end of the year and prepare for next year.
Raul, before you had told me about your cruise obviously went down, but that you kind of guys made up for it with some of the other stuff.
Our diversity as a port is so important, and we're resilient because of that. We have seen our energy, fuel, petroleum products coming back. The building and construction industry, very strong. We are even importing new products, lumber, steel products into, and this is because of Florida's growth, our region's growth. The container business, which was never important. All the consumer products. In 19, we added, for the first time, 3 direct Trans-Pacific services. It has grown exponentially because we're serving now with a new, better supply chain, the Central Florida market. So the 22% that we are missing on the cruise is being made up by the cargo growth across the board. We have more leases, new tenants coming in and signing with us. We are working on several projects, major projects for manufacturing and exports out of Florida. So overall, our stability and diversity has allowed us to have a good prospect for 2020 and 2021. We completed our budget recently, and we're only, the loss of business is represented down to an 8% to 9%, which is very good considering missing 22% of the business. So overall, we are moving and sailing right ahead.
In terms of like the opportunities for the Tampa Bay area, where do you see the region going from here, ideally, in terms of the economic rebound?
We're very bullish. We're very optimistic. A lot of the statistics that Dave talks about and Roll talks about for the port, we're seeing throughout Tampa Bay. When all this started with the pandemic, we strengthened a relationship we have with 8 other chambers in the region and 2 other business organizations. And we're all pooling together and talking resources and making sure that we're supporting each other's businesses. And throughout the region, people are saying, this is a tough time, but it gives us an opportunity to think about how we need to get more focused, more direct, and more strategic in what we're doing going forward. We hosted a webinar with some of the very successful entrepreneurs in the region talking about what should a business be thinking about now to best be positioned to pull out when things start to go stronger. Arnie Bellini, Marianne Ferentz, our chair, and Scott Riley from the Riley Foundation all gave some great points of think about what you need to do, stay out in the market, make sure your members and customers know who you are and what you're doing and being out there. And it was really helpful for people to understand that this is when businesses prove how strong they are, how they continue to operate through tough times like this. And most of the feedback we're getting is, we'd like things to be different. We started the year much stronger, but we're going to pull through this, just sticking to the core business that we have and how we can go forward. And we talked about the real estate market. It's been very aggressive. Our realtors are telling us that people are buying houses sight unseen, wanting to move from other parts of the country to be here, which is amazing. But that is impacting all the market as services are needed to reflect that. So it's not where I think any of us want to be, but we're moving in that right direction, getting back quicker. As they said, this would be a quick, sharp turnaround to come back to it. And it's all how we determine what the course will be, not wait for the course to be determined for us. And that's what's helping us be stronger.
Yeah. No, well, I think you guys have a great community here. There's so many, so much potential. But yeah, I think the buying homes sight unseen, I think is a testament to the fact that people do have confidence in what people have done in this region, other parts of Florida. Obviously you're going to be treated well as a taxpayer. We don't have a state income tax. They know that, even with this, we're going to be able to handle our state finances. And they also know, quite frankly, we support law enforcement. We're going to have law and order. We're not going to see some of the scenes that you see around there. That would not be acceptable in the state of Florida. And so, all those things, I think people, they want a healthy environment, a safe environment, and they want to be treated well as a taxpayer. So I think we offer that here in the state of Florida. I also am... I was in Miami on Monday with the Miami Dolphins. They are going to do a limited capacity seatings for the football games. and I know Jacksonville's planning it, and I know Tampa, the Bucks are working on something. I mean, I'm supportive of that. I think that we need to get fans back. Obviously, there's going to be capacity limitations, to make sure that it's a safe environment, but I'm positive it can be done safely. And, we need to, as we start the season, do that, but then build up to the Super Bowl. It's a big deal to host that here in this region, and you don't get opportunities to do it very often. I know we've been able to do it here in the past, but I think it's something that we would like to see go off very successfully. And we have a definite possibility of having the Super Bowl be a home game if the Bucks make it, and I think they have a shot to do it. So we're looking forward to that, and I think that would really help solidify the fact that the region really is leading the way. And so with that, I want to thank everybody. We value your input. I mean, you guys are on the ground. You're seeing different things. It's really helpful for us to be in communication, and as particularly in industries that have had specific impacts. We think it's important. So we appreciate you coming and sharing your thoughts with us. With that, yes, ma'am.